I'm Marte Otten. I'm an assistant professor at the psychology department at the University of Amsterdam, and I'm currently doing a fellowship here at the Institute for Advanced Studies. My general research interest is really focused on social cognition. So how the beliefs that we have about the world, the knowledge that we have about the world, how that influences these very basic cognitive processes like perception, like attention, like language processing, like memory. Functions that are generally assumed to be very much driven by the stimulus, but which might also be shaped by what we know at a sort of relatively high social level about society, about the world. And this is an idea that has become quite popular in recent years, where people say, what you believe really determines how you see the world. Like, people see the world differently based on their general beliefs. Actually, my own research, many other researchers have shown that this is not exactly the case. We share the same initial percept of the reality, but how we react to that percept and how we remember that percept, how we interpret that percept, that is really where these top-down, high-level social beliefs come into play. So we already know quite a bit about how our high-level cognition interacts with this very basic part of the human cognitive architecture. And I am currently really focusing on how to translate that knowledge to the process of polarization. So, a lot of the current societal discourse talks about how much of society is becoming more and more polarized. So groups are moving apart. They have very specific beliefs, and since we already know that these beliefs have quite a big impact on the initial basic cognitive architecture, I'm really interested to see whether we can translate that into more formal models of polarization. So here at the IAS, there are quite a few people who are trying to model polarization in basic cognitive models. And I am very interested to explore how much human cognition is already in those models. And if it's not that much, whether we can find easy ways to implement what we know about the functioning of the human cognitive architecture into these models of these models of polarization. On the other hand, we as psychologists, we generally tend to deal with data that we collect from relatively small groups of subjects, weird subjects also. I would also really like to use my time here to talk more to people who deal with more societally relevant large data sets, and to see whether those large data sets can shed any light on whether what we know from experimental data about the interaction between beliefs and cognition and societal polarization, whether we can see the same evidence for this in these bigger data sets. So I'm very much looking forward to my time here, to talking to all these different researchers from all these different fields, and getting inspired to ask new questions at different levels about human cognition, polarization.